financial aid, religious affiliation, their choice to attend your school, and the CIAA can be varying for various reasons. They include cost, proximity to home, academic offerings, legacy and family, athletic prestige, or for social reasons. From an athletic standpoint, coaches tend to recruit students that will be a good fit for their program in the academic culture, and let's not forget to win games. Because as the spirit of it, we want to win. And we hire coaches and we recruit players because we want to win. But as I heard this morning, as you're doing that, what is the cost of winning when your academics are not contributing to the total culture of your institution? So there has to be engagement. There has to be a way to bridge that gap. What I love about athletics is that it's the dynamics of the team, no matter what sport, bridges a diverse group of individuals who build a community, a comrade for a lifetime. And that's the same thing on campus. I love working on campus because if you do it right, you have so many touch points. You should be in your student affairs office. You should be in your financial aid office. You should be in your compliance office. You should have a faculty rep committee or an athletic committee on your campus where you're having those conversations and creating dialogue about the issues and concerns. You should. As a conference, I think, I love the idea of the faculty day of football games. How about let's create one day, the first home, and I'm just throwing it out, the first home game of the year, and that's your faculty day, and that becomes the conference. It's simple. Well, we can help promote that. That's something we can do as a conference. Let's just call it an initiative. Same thing with breast cancer awareness. Call it an initiative. The first basketball game of the season. Look at anything. Great sport. I don't want to just be focused on the basketball tournament. And I can't express the importance that we've got 16 sports, and all of them deserve the same opportunity, academically and athletically. And how do we do that as a group, as a congregation? Can I get an amen? Amen. So the cost of education continues to grow faster than the rate of inflation. Different institutions, I said, have different requirements. Some students are equally prepared to attend college. With the initial eligibility, I'm concerned. I don't know about you all, but I'm concerned. I think it's great that we want our students to make higher grades and be prepared, but our kids are not even getting prepared right now with the standards. And so, and that's not because of us. We've got kids coming from urban environments, single-parent environments, no-parent environments that we're recruiting because they have nowhere else to go. CIAA, HBCUs, we've always been the place to accept students. I talked to Dr. Purcell and other of our board. They fight to get kids in school for funding. Even when there's no funding, they try to find it. They don't want to turn a student away because we turn away an opportunity that this kid may never have an opportunity to get if they don't come here. And so the beauty of being in the CIAA, whether you go to Elizabeth City, Fayetteville State, Winston-Salem, or Aiken, that our board, I believe, is committed and our institutions are committed in making sure those students can get into your campuses. So what I will tell you is that over the past 7 months, I've been pretty consistent with my message. Nothing has changed. And I'm still on target. I may not be moving as fast as I would like to, but I want to work with you so we can see and find ways to support our student athletes and academic and athletic success. The executive committee will tell you, and probably at ADs, I've got task groups, and everybody's working. It's not just the commissioner. I can't do it by myself. Faculty athletic rep, I need you. I need you to be, there's no longer day the conference is going to decide what we're going to do. I need you to tell us what you, we work for you. I work for you. We work for you. I love this platform. I want to see more of our schools or web streaming. The technology is important because finances are tight. So how do we make sure that everyone has access? So let's talk and figure out how are we going to move the needle for our academic support. Getting you, making sure that we're consistent on MCA committees. That's so important. You're not at the table understanding what other institutions do get mixed out. That's not what happens. We're going to be very in touch with them in this governance structure. The other piece that hasn't changed, we'll serve our membership with the highest regard to meet the needs of our member institutions so that current and future partners. Our sponsors want more touch points with our member schools. we have to do a better job at the conference to share what those pinch points are so that it makes sense of why they want to be on the floor. Nationwide, Gail wants to meet, the executive wants to meet with our board to say, look, we've got internships, we've got scholarships, we've got all these things that if the schools don't know about it, how do we tell you? I remember, I think I was one of the first recipients to get the CIAA postgraduate scholarship when I left the CIAA. What happened to that scholarship? If they are, this is in place. Well, let's find out how to make it happen. Those are the types of in the small things, whether it's 1,000 or 2,000, it helps somebody to get to the next place. So let's talk about those initiatives that went away. Let's get back to the ground level of why we exist. It doesn't all have to be big, great, grand ideas. It really has to make sense on what's going to be done for our student athletes and for the conference. And then I will also tell you, we will continue to gauge our community for stands to support 12 amazing member institutions in our sport. I don't want to focus on one sport. I want to make sure that every student athlete has an opportunity to feel important in this conference. Yes, we gave out t-shirts for the first time, but we should be giving out more. And they deserve more than that. We talk about them, how great they are, how great this conference, but what do we do with the conference when we demonstrate that? So we need some help. We're going to talk with that in our FWAs, in our ABs, to figure out in our FARs. Your feedback is extremely important. So, as I said, my platform hasn't changed. It's consistent. We're moving in Century 2. We're moving pretty quickly. I'm going to charge the FARs and compliance administrators to start working together. Because they're doing the same thing. There's an academic side, but there's also the compliance side, and you all should be working jointly together in communication on what the needs are. And you've already done that. You started the compliance conference calls back in the fall. I think Dr. Vaughn has got on that call to be a representative. And however that needs to be structured, don't structure it. Make it happen. Whatever's going to bridge the gap in communication. So there is no award snafu, or there's a GPA snafu. And all that happens. But how do we make sure that we're all on the same page? Everyone knows the processes. There's no silos. I don't work well in silos. So if I'm communicating and collaborating, that's just what I do. That's a team captain, and that's what captains are supposed to do. And that's what I'm charged to do, to move the conference. I will also say I charge the FARs to work with the compliance, best practices, and recommendations. You should leave here with some best practices and recommendations, or at least start putting those together when we get to the main meeting. That's going to help tell the story with the board. Because I want to go in there and say, guess what? We got some best practice and recommendations to move this conference academically. Guess what? We want to celebrate the faculty at a game. And this is what the ADs and FARs are going to work collaboratively to do it. And that's just what we're going to do. So they can start seeing the importance. And most of them get it. But again, they're running a university. Athletics is just one piece of programs that they're running and people that they're supervising. So if we don't stay connected, if I don't stay connected, tell them what you want. I spoke to them about you guys having the opportunity. Put some resources in there so that they can go to the FAR national seminar. Do that for them. Because how can they bring back to help us get better if they're not in the trenches with the rest of the people across the country that are making decisions way beyond us? And so don't worry, I'll keep that on the table, and maybe you'll see some progress, maybe you won't. But at least we'll keep it out there so they understand the importance of it. And then lastly, I will tell you best practices to improve graduation rates, building a community at your campuses, but also as a CIAA as a conference to make sure that we're meeting the goals and objectives and meeting the vision that I see for us collaboratively working together. We have a responsibility for the next generation of leaders. And when we bring them in this conference and bring them to your institution, we need to make sure that they come back. Because we need them to come back. I need my daughter to want to come to a CIAA school or Hampton Stars, but it doesn't matter. I need her to feel the importance of being in a culture that cares about her. There's not, some of us or all of us have been the majority institutions or larger institutions. It's very different. You get lost in the circle of life. But one thing I know about the CIAA and our member schools, we keep you close. We check up on you. We call your mother, even though you think you're grown. We still have those touch points. We put those things in place. We may not have the dollars, but we have the sense to help build a community. So I would encourage you and empower you today as you're talking, as you have your next panel session, that you take notes and that you get those together and let's make movement. Let's not leave here or get into this next academic year without steps to move it. Even if it doesn't happen for 13, 14, we should be implementing in 15. There's no excuse now. It's in your hands. Let me help you, let us help you, and we'll make it work. I guarantee you. I'm excited. This conference is the best conference to me. There's nothing like this platform, and the people that I talk that are not even a part of it are trying to find out how to be a part of it is amazing. And we will continue to sell the CIAA. But I don't want to sell just the brand of the CIAA. I want to sell our school in the CIAA. When they look at the brand, they need to say, all 12 schools are a member of this conference. But we'll have to work on that together. And I need you to support that. So I appreciate your time. I thank you so much for all that you do to support me at this point. And looking forward to our next step as we move into Century 2. It's exciting. So if you're not ready, then you need to get ready. So we're riding pretty fast. The next 30 to 60 days are probably the most important days for me. And a lot of it because of the meetings. We've got some sports, we've got board meetings, we've got membership meetings. And if things don't happen within these 60 days, then I'm going to lose momentum. So that's why everyone needs to be ready. Don't come to the meeting unprepared. If you've got stuff that needs to be on the table, get it on time. I think April 21st was the deadline I gave you, and we're sticking with that. If you don't get it in, it's going in the next cycle. That's just how it is. Because right now, there's so many things on the table that need to be moved, that if we don't work together to get it done in a timely fashion, it'll get moved. So, it's not a lecture, but just to thank you all for your time, and just let you know that I'm here to support you. I'm committed to the mission, and looking forward to what the vision is going to roll out to be. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Carhun, for your warm remarks. And we are behind you. We got your back. As I told you, I emailed back and forth through the CIAA tournament. All right, I'm your moderator for the second half of this afternoon, and we're going to start off with Tools for Academic Advisement. And our presenter is Mr. Ron Dortch from grade first. So Ron, if you would come forward and bless us, we really appreciate it.
Opportunity to come and tell you a little bit about grade first. So I've been taking notes this morning, keep hearing kind of the same recurring theme. So what, and there's a reason I'm talking about this, but what are some of the things, students or words you've been hearing? We heard this on the session ago, but how do you resonate? Talking about graduation what do institutions need to do. I keep hearing engagement with students, Ms. Bailey and others, engagement with administration, almost equally, it sounds like, because the top-down, Alan, you were talking about that, and others. So theory, communication and motivation. Other topics or words that you were in from this morning. Parker, conversation, ongoing process, communication. So am I getting it? Is that what we're hearing? Because, I hear, there's a lot of abstracts and a lot of things we're saying that needs to happen, and with the software company, this is what we do. We develop software, we go out to the marketing business and say, what's the problem? And then we get a lot of input, and we take that back and we write what's called a system design document. Okay, this is the solution to the market problem. So when we're talking about the problem of graduation, student success, retention, these are all these words. We need to have more of this, communication, engagement, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is what this company's done. Great first is around 7 years, and very specifically this, our focus is retention, student success, student engagement, communication. I can put a second and help handle this out. And then we have a little tuning for it. So for about 20 years, I'm 51. Well, I didn't know it is. She pictures younger than me. But, when I got married when I was 30, 24. But, kept that little thing from me for a little while. But, I've had for the past 20 years, helped educational institutions implement use technology to accomplish their goals. So that's kind of what I do. I'm control of that. So, this company that I'm with now, I've been for the past 40 years, is great for us. And again, it's still probably used by several institutions in CIAA. And use at different levels, but this is primarily, there's a lot of different modules, but the bottom line underlying is communication. So, you've got your pocket numbers. So today, I want to say a little bit about this product. It's used in over 140 Division I athletic devices. And so these athletic devices, they're not getting it because they're so much students get it. They're getting it because they see the track record here. They see how it impacts in a measurable way student success. We have for the past 2 or 3 years, we're looking to take it to the future. The good news is, we pulled the price down to about 1/3 to 1/4. What we have to do to start to try to make it more smooth because, and again, from this money, we hear that it's not always the same. It's not always a cookie-cutter solution. We want to have a blueprint. We want to say, how do we accomplish all the things that we heard this morning? How do we do this? Well, it may be a little different for institutions. It's pretty obvious. Sometimes we have a lot of faculty buy-in, other times we don't. Sometimes we actually have someone in academic advising just to work with student athletes. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes the student athletes go and get the same services that help everything. So it really is different for campus, but there are such things that we can do, and the things that we heard this morning. And again, I keep hearing this communication. We call it conversation. So there's a brochure. I realize not everybody got them in their pocket only, so and there's the son who got this little brochure too. And they talked about the benefits of a system like this. It improves APR scores, improves graduation rates, helps with risk management, identifying at-risk students through early alerts, streamline workflows, helps with recruital. So, and if you didn't get this, all everybody didn't want to do is on the website, and we'll send you all kinds of information. But, people say, well, what is software? Does it really work? I mean, can we afford it? What does it do for us? It sounds like, some magical thing, but we really know what we need to do, and that's engage these students. And what we believe is, it's the identification of at-risk students that's going to help them be successful. Is it knowing which students we need to work with? Is it just having students on a list of, on a piece of paper, here's the students we want to track and monitor. That doesn't make them successful. That just identifies them. So any early alert program or system will help you identify. You've already identified, hey, our children are student athletes. We work across campus. We have all students on campus. But it's the intervention, it's the tutoring, the advising, the counseling, the relationship that makes them successful. Does that make sense? It's a pretty easy scenario, but a lot of us focus on identification not the intervention. The intervention is what makes you successful. Again, the talking to relating to getting them into the services they need. So we talk about academic support services. So here's my students. I can't wait till next semester to find out if the faculty put their grade in the learning management system, or whenever during the term. And I do have some research here in case you were wondering. Typically, faculty use the learning management system, putting in grades. If we're trying to wait to monitor grades, so are these being successful? We're going to find out when the low grade shows up. That doesn't work anymore because typically it's too late in the term. So they take themselves an academic goal, then we find out later, whenever that grade goes to the learning management system, shows up somehow that, hey, this student is not going to make it to class. It's too late for them to do the services to help them be successful. So the idea is to be early in the term, connect with their students, connect with their professors, and say, how are my student athletes in this class? Early in the term. And they're not showing up. Attendance is one of the number one at-risk indicators. If they're not going to class, they're not going to be successful in the class. If they don't show up, they're not going to get their grades. So here's just a couple of comments, so it's not just me talking. And this will be the one more, and this is a commercial. But after using grades for the one semester, we saw a dramatic improvement. We see a 55% increase in the amount of contact hours for students. Retention rate for the student total improved by 5%. Pass and fail rate of the student total improved from 71 to 91%. And the total success, objection was 7. And using grades for currently work for 10 at-risk rating. This is an example for any cohort. But 297 students saw improvement in grades after receiving a portion of overload notice. And for the remaining of the students, grades can be directly linked to the personal contact and initiate the risk grade search. So, for those of you who use grade searching, something like that. And again, to the degree of anything used, like they use Excel, they know how to create a pivot table. Yeah. So, like any software product, if we don't know how to use it, well, we're only going to get the benefit of how much we know how to use that product. So, again, kind of common sense stuff, but what we've done is gone from 5 people 7 years ago to 32 people now. We're all over the country, and even like Barnwood and Library students and student athletes, because we allow you to have that security advisors who allow you to really track those students. But again, we see a lot of our students don't really utilize the product. So we're here to say a couple of things. We have some support associations, and we provide the product as a conference product when we have, and really package it together. We also have services both on site now and the gap analysis and helping you to look at what services are being provided to students in the questionnaire. So you can say, what's happening on campus, where are the services being delivered, etc. And it gives you input to how can we integrate what we're doing on campus with our student athletes, or can we get somebody else to come in? But again, it's a step. It's just one of those things. So I said, from this morning, I've got, all these notes. And again, this is what I do with software development. We listen for the problems and how we overcome them. So we put it in a design document, we test it, we vet it out, we write code, put it back out, vet it back out. And so we want to partner. So when I talk about success, we come on as a partner with you. And again, it's not always the same, especially the Division II. Most of the Division II schools I talk to, and I talk to schools, they don't have a specifically defined academic advising person in methods. They just put all those methods into the same channels with all the other schools. And, you can do that, but again, if you don't have that buy-in from the top down of the importance of crafting this particular cohort, which again is one we put about how they really represent West Virginia. And the students, the government is really the students on campus, those are being monitored. So, you know, how do you practice and make sure that you know what's going on with that student? We have a very strong, you know, and I'm going to skip this stuff or I'm going to just do this. But, again, an early alert, we have a system that helps you communicate with and identify students early and otherwise. We know it's not just academic. We know that sometimes other things are going on in your life. So opening the door and being able to be proactive. So you're already overworked. So how can you do more? You really have to get some technology to help you do more. So depending on how you want to do it. And again, that's what we bring to the table, is the technology that lets you reach out to different students, that lets you be proactive, that lets you say, hey, here's the services that we have for you. Respect level communication. We talked to somebody that was about social media. So we have, the students have a Facebook account. Who doesn't? Here's college students. All the surveys show almost every college student has a Facebook account. So we don't have a Facebook page. We have a Facebook application. In other words, if they'll load it up, you send them an email. Say, hey, your advisors or your student support services that you want to your professors. So it's an application, not a page. They load it up, they put in their credentials. What it does, it makes it easy for them to self-identify. It's kind of like raising their hand, I need to know. So, I mean, if you want to be where they are, you don't say, that's where they are. So they see a little icon, and I actually think I have to we're going to have to have time today. We're an abbreviated presentation. But if they're on the Facebook page, they're going to actually see a great first logo. Nobody else. It's not on the Facebook service. That's not corporate compliance. There's nothing on the Facebook service. But it looks like it. I'm on Facebook. That's a great service. If I click on it, it looks the page over. There's my classes, there's my professors, there's the different support staff on campus. I can click request tutors, request an advising model. So if you're where they are, you're making it easy for them to start down. Again, one of the number of things that we're trying to do. But again, you see these. Talk about communication, identification, advising and student support, and documentation. If you don't know which students, they didn't show up for advising, they didn't show up for tutoring, every student is going to talk to the class. So you can say, hey, you need to get some help. You know, through our services, it works all campus. But if you don't know that they ever show up and get the help, then they're better off. They're still in trouble. So systematically monitor. So you can talk to campus, hey, when I'm booking my tutoring appointments, when I'm booking my advising appointments, I know who to go for. So it helps you see the students are following you and then reach out to them. And we do this presentation, it takes about an hour. I'm preparing today, but we walk you through a lot of the things in the group I just wanted that we all talked about. And, you know, relationships, communication, student success. And it's hard to provide student success if you don't have a relationship, you're not talking to people. So, again, we have been listening to the same thing, the same topics a lot of times, and we are designing a tool. And that's what this is. We're talking today. Braces is just a tool to help you accomplish the goals that you set out, the goals that we were talking about this morning. So, anybody have questions, I'm just kind of bring one on here. But kind of jumping around quite a bit, we do individual presentations as a web. So, you're interested in this particular product, we'll line up a web demo and show it to you. We do a consultative focus. We don't say this is for everybody. We don't say everybody should get it. We say, take a look at it. See if it will help you accomplish your goals. If you're going up and communicating and engaging and tracking it. We would like to be part of this. I'm going to have these notes taken and sent back to the staff. So you can go and build from our contribution will just be, hey, I'm lucky to be able to travel all over the country, go to institutions and see what we're doing with academic advising. So I'm able to see best practices all over the country. Others in the company see that. So we somehow, it's going to be here's the information zone. So some stuff we do this on and other things. So just to help maybe you go, maybe not a blueprint, but some best practices. Again, because institutions are so different. With your support services, if you have people, if you don't have people, how are they going to be done? Through the coaches, or through dedicated staff, or do you have faculty advice? All these questions, you got to think about it. Your institution, how can you impact the student success and again, it is a little different, but there's some things that are similar. That is, the communication has to happen, engagement has to happen.
While this is built specifically to kind of aid student athletes, can you talk about how the whole campus can be involved in all of the students that are other institutions can actually be tracked and very such a way that they can continue to just student athletes? Because that might be a point where people go back to their campus and can ask for the funding to, get this on the campus, because it's not just dedicated student athletes, it can be a whole course across the campus.
Right, and that's during the next session, that's probably a topic, but we've seen that over and over. A lot of people moving to small schools, they don't have the athletic budget to buy a problem project. So, although something gotten done to pay for it, but the price, it used to vary quite a bit. Now, again, Division 2 and 3 and South schools is really pushing the price down. But it does make sense to have a campus like this. If you're going to ask really in terms of how the research is doing, are there any students in the class and academic school choices? So we've seen a lot of the schools buy a campus system versus just for athletics. The truth is, it's not always that much more. Yeah, that is a way to fund. Is to say, hey, this is going to benefit the entire campus. I'm going to use it across campus for the value. And of course, the value is that you're sending students to these services that you have lots of students here and there. Are the students receiving the services somewhere on the campus to be successful, or are they not? So we got to remember to show you. Here's all the students there. Maybe mark their list, or otherwise you can say, who has a GPA of here, et cetera, and here's my list, and I can communicate with that list. So these reports, as you know, we call them actionable reports. It's not just a list. It's a little checkbox and like well-researched. You should check on them, selecting on the intended on that list. There's the messaging, the actions, all through this system. Any other general questions? I know I'm just blowing out a lot of little things to think about here. I haven't obviously spoken with all the clients I have spoken with. This is what you're talking about. No advance notice. They actually, many schools have significantly increased the volume of faculty because it's really email from you that says, if you put this link to your local guard or whatever, humanely, and you do that, you even furniture forms and anything like that. Travel letter.
One reason why we love it is because in addition to the midterm and final grade, it allows the faculty to give us comments. So your midterm, you say, okay, the student has a B, A, B, C, D, F. If they have a field below, why do they have a field below? The midterm is on there to tell you that. And they'll say, he's always asleep, or he's always late, he's missing X amount of assignments. And so he's missing those assignments, and those comments is what really catches the student. And so when we go to speak with the student and coach and AD or, whomever, then we can tell them why the student is not performing well in the class. And then a lot of times the faculty will tell us this student needs to drop the course because he or she is not going to pass. And but a midterm report would not tell you that. And so the grade first system gives you a little bit offset point. And so, I mean, the early alert system works really, really well.
So, I don't know how you can feel about this analysis or other programs on this, but this goes out by email. So you get to talk a little bit. Do you actually run it?
We'll run the report, and then we'll put like a deadline on it. And so sometimes we'll call Mr. Wanda or Arthur astronaut. I need to make my progress report with the link has to start, so we'll just be sent out. And I mean, I would say as soon as that email goes out, the report starts coming in just like that, and it'll tell you, it'll be your email that says you have 15% of your students who are being at risk. And then you can print out that, I mean, it's in a spreadsheet that tells you everything. So, I know in the past, my biggest are AD, and said, everything you let them know.
So there's a lot of systems like this out there. That'll do predictive modeling, that'll do tons of info. There's all these things that make it great. Well, we kind of take a more direct approach. We just kind of say, faculty, can you tell us if our student needs some help? And do it early in the term. Just as fast as we do the most direct way. And then you can direct it to the students. So again, you can map and communicate out, hey, we need to talk to you. So that it's designed to be easy and intuitive. We are coming on the site now to set up individual groups and students. But think about that, again, if you'd like to see it again, we appreciate you after how we should be remote writers, which is another active, because it's very popular. It is a tool to help you do what you find your hobby. It's one of a lot of different things. But we appreciate you asking us as you started with. We always answer input. How can we help serve you better? How can we help improve schools? Accomplish your goals for us and teach you the most better. One of those things after each one was about the travel letters. Automatically you can communicate and fast you can type a little note. For this group, you can click on like whatever basketball players, football players, here's the list, I can add, take away. Send it out to all the faculty. You see what you're doing in the class at the same time. And we'll thank you. Appreciate you, faculty members. And again, being proactive, appreciating the faculty. So any questions about this book?
It's also exciting because, a lot of times students will say that, she didn't send me an email, she didn't send me that. And if you can always go back on your conversation and pull up the email and conversations that you had with your students, and you print it out, and you got the results.
So every email, text message, phone call, is tracked forever. And you or somebody else, you can listen to every communication after. We want to do serious topics, important, we like to do, we got asked to write them on the paper. We got to work more Friday, I think. I think they got it. Everybody with their name and their
We got all the names. We got them all.
We wrote at the
I'm sorry, I have a little, I have a little card and I left it.
No, I don't know.
We got it. Do you have any more?
Yes, everybody.
Who, me? Could you repeat that? Oh, her, okay.
I probably think most of the math that
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
I thought you said.
We're gonna proceed with the, second, panel. And then, if you look at your agenda, there's, one minor change, third back, double quick, so we'll get back to it. Matt, Dr. Mack will take, we'll take Dr. Quick. The panel members include, Mr. William Hayes, Western State University Director of Athletics, Denise Parker, Lincoln University, now President of Academic Services, Dr. Freddie Barr, New State University, and Mr. Double Quick, Dr. Mack, Riverside State. Good?
Go ahead.
This should be a very interesting session as well. We're going to focus on best practices for funding academic success. And I think what we have 3 state institutions, and I'm not sure Lincoln is state part. You fine? But you got to get it state part. That puts it in a good perspective. Since we have such a eclectic and unique group, I know it's going to provide a lot of perspective for us. I've got some questions that I would like to introduce at certain points of the discussion. But seems that we're right back on schedule. We're actually a little ahead of time. Would you like to maybe proceed, or would you like to wait 4 minutes before we stay on schedule? Okay. With all due respect, I would like to allow Ms. Parker to present the best slavery substitutes later in the panel. If we would please be so kind to share with us your success stories of funding for the institution. We just got to do a peer review organization. I know that you guys are going to do a lot of capital infrastructure improvements. But as a result of capital infrastructure improvements, what about the internal support of the academic? There have been somewhat challenging and somewhat trouble about to go through one person doing it.
My name is Susan Parker. Along with my academic goals or responsibilities, I am assistant athletic director for doing budgetary issues. At this time, there is actually no budget for our academic office in our department other than my salary. So right now, what we're working with is definitely building collaborations across campus with tutoring, with providing basic student unemployment scholarships that are available to them, career services, those types of things. We're looking at having sponsors to come in and kind of assist us with the building of our academic service arm of the university. But even grade services, I was speaking with Ron, we don't pay for that out of our athletic budget. That comes from the university, maybe for the early monitoring of all of our students that are at risk. So, my comment will be short.
So, you said that your position is on the same ground, what is your particular salary?
Yes, for the academic success of the student, yes.
And that's typically athletics. All right. Dr. Matthew and Mr. Hayes, you guys represent state institutions. You guys have I know a chance to attack over the amount of students you guys have in place there. You guys have a tremendous amount of success in doing academic support. Mr. Hayes, you spoke directly in terms of how we get the presidents and provosts and boards. how do we cultivate or articulate to the verbal and the chances the importance of academic success and being at a
Well, I believe in, unlike the young lady from Virginia Union, I've been at schools during my tenure where coaches couldn't talk to professors because coaches sometimes can be aggressive, and late in the semester, coaches go to teachers trying to improve Johnny's grade, and the teacher gets intimidated when this big guy comes in the room and calls the provost get mad, get a chance to call the coach in. So I've been through all that. So I don't really want our coaches talking to faculty about grades. So what I do is create an environment where the coach can be successful. The first thing, 2 weeks after, literally 2 weeks after we register, in the spring and in the fall, we have what's called an academic luncheon, an academic cookout. It used to be a straight-up cookout. Now it has turned into a luncheon. And the purpose of it is we want the teacher to meet the coach and the student on the front end. So I say to every student athlete, how many classes do you have? Well, Coach, Mr. Hayes, I got 5. Okay, you get 5 tickets to the academic luncheon. Now, you take these 5 tickets and you give them to your 5 teachers. And you invite your 5 teachers to come to this luncheon with you, and you introduce them to your coach. Now, if this works, it starts a dialogue in January that permeates throughout the semester. And what we've been able to do is get somebody to fund the cookout, because I'm smart enough to know that I'm going to name the cookout after somebody. One year it might be Dr. Brown's cookout. Sure, straight up. Then one year it might be the provost's cookout. Then Victor Johnson, who has given us a lot of money in athletics. Name it after him. Name it after somebody's wife or some big donor. In other words, rotate the naming so you can keep revenue coming in. That has worked really well because the faculty members have come during lunchtime because we're free. Now they really didn't. They really didn't come because they came because they were going to get a free meal. That's why they come. If I had it at night, they wouldn't show up. So they come to get a free meal, a good free meal, and we spend a lot of money on it, sometimes up to $6,000, $8,000. And we have a nice program. This child has been behind the whole thing, and it has been extremely successful because the teacher met the coach and the kid on the front end. That's very important. And so we call it an academic lunch, an academic cookout, and the purpose is to do that early. And the thing that I believe is we have a red and white fund. Now, the red and white fund is $99 to $599. So, as a salesman, one who, winners find a way to win, and losers make excuses. Winners find a way to win, and losers make excuses. So I'm not about no excuse. So if we don't have something, we got to figure out a way to get it. So if we need some summer school money, or some book money, or something, we got to raise the money. Now, ain't no magic going to happen. Ain't nobody all of a sudden going to come in there and give us the money. And I have found out since I've been in athletics, since I was a coach, through becoming an athletics director, that people, even Ebenezer Scrooge, can't tell you more about a book. What I say to people is, as athletic director, the worst thing that can happen to me is this kid, this promising, down in the rough, comes in my office, and all he needs to be successful in life is a book. Can't you give me $200 for this book? And I can count the times that I have never been turned down for a book. And so that's one of my main strategies, and we were fortunate in that we were able to get a gift. How much was that answer we got, Mr. Taylor? 25? We asked for 75 this coming year. Asked for 75,000. We sent Mr. Taylor, and what we do is we bring him over and let the kids talk to him and tell him how much they appreciate and how much by him giving them that money for those books, how much it enhanced their career. And so I think this 3 years in a row he has given us 25, 35,000, and we asked for 75,000, and we always say, and you can give something. So join the Red and White Club and get on board, and your money will go directly towards scholarships and books. And we've had some success with that. So, okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to you about revenue generation, and how the revenue goes that way. Dr. Mack, really just say those that forerun in terms of academic success. You shared what's a little earlier about it hasn't always been that way. Tell us where did you come from, how do you arrive at where you are today in terms of the support you have and the success you have? What do you do?
All programs that are successful because of leadership. Whether it's in fundraising, whether it's in academic success, whether it's the leaders behind it. We have individuals who serve as leaders, but they're really tolerant. In my opinion, that's not a good thing. Leaders don't always have to be the designated leader. Here's the city has had some success over the years, and you guys deserve to take the $40,000. He has instilled in a way of thinking, a culture of the university, that irregardless of the sport that you play, it ought not be left to baseball and tennis and those who talk about graduation. It ought to come to basketball and football also. And so just as we bring athletes to the table, we expect football and basketball players to graduate too. I coached a number of years, and just recently I looked at all the guys that I had coached and looked at how successful we had been with graduation. 89.9% of those kids that we worked with graduated. That goes back to Coach Vaughn and his thinking. Over 90% of these kids graduated. That's part of the culture of the leadership. Now, I think built into that word leadership comes into play. I mentioned Big House this morning, and I mentioned Bobby Vaughn. Both of those guys didn't start out as youth coaches. They started out as medical doctors. That's what they thought they were going to do. And so there was an academic mindset instilled in them that they carried over into athletics. I think he talked a bit about Tricky Tom in his own way. When he graduated, I think that leadership that I spoke of earlier, I have seen some things take place at Elizabeth City. And I don't say it to be braggadocious, but when I look at those who are left, my group is now the old people. You know, those guys who came along with me, you know, there's the old folks who talk about those old people. You know, that's what we are. I know that. But I will also recognize that there is in terms of fundraising now, there is a piece that my wife and I recently attached to Plain Giving. We gave a sizable piece of money. But because we gave that sizable piece of money, some others gave a sizable piece of money. For one guy, it was $1,000. Lady came along and gave $395,000. We're going to leave with some. And that money now rotates into the athletics budget. And so, that leadership, the kinds of things that you do, you know, kind of set the tone for the direction that you want to go. I would suspect that I would never, well, I hope I don't see it on the board. If it does, there's something wrong with the formula. But I would love today to see the day when those individuals who have now come to the table, who have given to athletics, that ensure some degree of sustainability for athletics. It's futuristic in thinking, you know, but again, it goes back to the word that I used before, leadership. And leaders put forth things that others will follow. If you don't have individuals following down the road that you are traveling, then you're not going to much of a job as a leader. I will give you an example of an event that we created at Elizabeth City that you know, you didn't have to be a musical physicist to figure it out, but we took our home football game and moved it down the road, Rocky Mountain. We called it the Down East Football Fest. For the city of Rocky Mountain, that's the largest single event that's held in that city. But that event is more productive than homecoming that we used to do. We were talking fundraising. You don't have to be a musical business, as I said before. It's just thinking through where you are and how you get to the next level. You know, I led the charge, but I'm not the athletic director or the chancellor. It's taken by leaders or individuals who have a vision of where you would like to go and be willing to put yourself on the line. I mean, that's really what I guess I'm trying to say. We have a guy at Elizabeth City who started a club called 1891. Yours is really hot. We started something called 1891. You know what 1891 is? The year that Elizabeth City was founded. And he gets individuals while they love to give $18.91 a year. And so there's a pool of money that comes. We have done fundraising with corporations,
Bill spoke a few minutes ago about his cookout. I do a cookout. Bill, I don't cook hot dogs. I did.
Yeah.
That people give me. Help this, I have an auto zone who gives me 2 pigs. And our athletes gather. Well, guess who comes along with those athletes? That's faculty and staff, because they know that pig is going to be there. And it gives an opportunity for people to share with us. And so I'm saying to all of you who are looking for ways to generate resources, is just come out of that traditional box that you have been boxed into. And as I said, I don't serve in this AD or administrative level. I mean, it's my institution, and I just look for ways to help generate resources that I think not only will athletics benefit from it, but across the campus. I will announce something very soon that we're about to do. But my opinion will generate resources. So it's really coming out of the traditional box and not being afraid. If you're afraid to fail, then you need to leave it alone. It's not that everything, will touch with success, but it's being willing to put yourself on the line. Asking, Bill talked about asking for money. If some of you tell me no, it means I can get on to asking the next. Plus, I have a feeling where we want to go. And so, I think Bill and I kind of have some of the same pressures on us because we are under the same system. Often people think that because Elizabeth City and Winston-Salem are not North Carolina State and UNC Chapel Hill, that we have a different set of governance. When his president said at the table, he sits with the president from UNC Chapel Hill. And the president of the system doesn't have but one set of rules. He doesn't have a set of rules for one of those guys and another set for us. We expect him to abide by the same university rules, knowing that they have more at Carolina and Chapel Hill than we have at Elizabeth City and Winston-Salem, but we are still expected to have the same kind of success. And fortunately enough, we've been towards the top of the UNC system with graduation and distinction. So again, it goes back to that culture there. I could go on and teach more about that.
I'll come back to you. Just hold it. Dr. Bond, I have a question for you. We don't know if you are not going to do so. Dr. Member Administrator as well. And we've had a number of communications about private institutions, funding, and state institutions. So there's a tremendous challenge in private institutions. So if you evaluate what you feel might be going in a private institution, trying to figure out how can we fund academics and academic support to be at state or necessarily etc.
Well, a good question, Charles. As UNC is a public institution as well, and as a consequence of that, our funding for athletics comes from primarily from CDG. And we have to do a number of things as both Coach Hayes and Coach Mackey have indicated in terms of reaching outside or reaching above the line and doing things to give money to our athletic department. Having said that, private institutions have a little bit more flexibility in the sense that their governing boards are usually their board of trustees, and they do not have to answer to, in our situation, a system. We're part of the university system in Maryland. And as Matthew has indicated, when his chancellor and Winston Taylor's chancellor sit down, they're sitting down with also the chancellors from UNC, North Carolina State, etc. They have those pressures on them like we have on us. But private institutions can seemingly extend themselves a little further. Tuition rates, of course, all of us are concerned about tuition. Normally, usually, private institutions, tuitions may be a little higher. And so as a consequence, they may be able to cut off a little bit more of that money to put into various and sundry programming, such as athletics. I believe Shaw, who is represented here, Shaw University and St. Augustine's University, both are private institutions, although they are religious affiliated institutions, and they too have governing bodies that have input, particularly St. Aug, because of the assistant area, and the interaction they have with the Episcopal Church, and Shaw too, in terms of this affiliation, in terms of how much and what they can do. Now, having said that, I do know that a number of private institutions reach out, like the two men that indicated, to private sources within the community and beyond to bring in additional funding, utilize alumni. I think all of us can utilize alumni better in terms of getting money in our institutions. We have several alumni. We are, and I like the 1891. We are 1865. So Donna will start collecting 1865 and then invariably will give you $20. Just a side note, I was at an affair with T.D. Jakes, and he sort of used something similar to that in terms of, and I forgot it was a year ago, it was 2005. And he said something, if you want something done, put $20 put 2005 in this envelope, blah, blah, blah. And invariably he got a little bit more than $20.05. So I understand that principle there. So maybe we can do that as well. But we have several alumni who are millionaires and who have gone on and done well. I don't know how well our institutions go about tapping the alumni to give back to the institution. I'm tired of hearing alumni say, and one of the things that I've dedicated myself to is, well, you know, so-and-so, I went into that financial aid office, or I went into that registrar's office, and, you know, I didn't get the best customer service, and blah, blah, blah. Well, here's an institution that gave you an opportunity to become the person that you are. And I think we miss the boat if we don't call people on the fact that you wouldn't be where you are today if it wasn't for that institution, if it wasn't for that financial aid officer being abrupt with you, or the registrar, or whatever it was, or whatever it is, or that instructor who turned you off and gave you an F. You finally finished, and you have been successful. For me, and I'm not connected at the hip to the athletic department like some of these other gentlemen are. But for me, I think we need to do a real digging in terms of getting and calling our alumni out to really give back to the institutions that gave them the opportunity. And this could be a very powerful conference, and it is, and it would be even more powerful if all of the alumni came back and engaged. And particularly to the private institutions. Well, no, and I'm not the one. I'm not a money person. So for me, a part of the panel, my issues are how do we strategize to increase our graduation rates and retention rates at our institutions.
Now, we've gotten off on this, on the sidebar somehow, in terms of, and no, not somehow. Part of the topic as well is funding for fifth-year education. When the athlete is finished his or her four-year obligation, usually the money from that sport dries up. What are we doing for that athlete? We are, and I said it earlier, we use the athlete to achieve something in our athletic department, whether that's a championship or whatever, to participate. Well, I'm thinking that the athlete as well needs to use, the sport to achieve his or her success as well, and that's graduating. But sometimes, it may take them a little longer because of the fact that the rigors that they've been placed under. When we talk about 5:30, getting up at 5, being somewhere at 5:30 in the morning, and even when I was an athlete in school, we didn't have 5:30. Now, this is new to me. I don't know what I would have been an athlete long if somebody would have asked me to get up at 5:30 to be somewhere. I tell you the truth. And then we have 3:30 practices. I'm a football guy. Then you have a 3:30 practice, that's going to run until 6 o'clock. And between those times, you're going to ask me to go to class. You're going to ask me to do what I'm supposed to do as a student. But then you're going to work the rigors out of me. And then we're going to have a meeting after the practice, after I had dinner, just to keep me informed, and then you're going to tell me the lights got to be out by 11 o'clock. I'm trying to be a disciplined, and we have coaches here. And so I don't know what I would have done today with that scenario. But what I am saying, though, is that we have to make sure that we do something for these athletes after they have labored for 4 years for us, and now they're looking at 30, 40 credits short. What are we going to do to get them out of school and continue to support them since they were instrumental in doing what they were supposed to do for us?
Dr. Vaughn, as a local city, we do not have a fund student athletes that is dedication by the way of that program. But at Liberty City, over 90% of our students qualify for some form of financial education. And because of institutional funds that are in place, and students having met academic requirements, usually our student athletes are able to find the few dollars that they will need beyond financial aid that we will need to get. But we don't have a specified fund as such. We are concerned about graduation, and we are simply responsible with leading students towards those schools of money that will enable them to finish up their education. I would, like most of us here, that we would have scholarship dollars that we can use. But the reality is we don't have it, so we look at what we have for within. And you got to be a good investigator to know, in some cases, since I left coaching, I've generated probably $9 million through some form of grant. And there are funds in those grants at times, by the way of indirect costs and other means that we can kind of use. Is this being creative to help those that help you?
Absolutely, and that's what we've been doing with that. Now, as well, Dr. Mackey, we have students, all of us have students on our campus, whether we are public, both public, who are one out of state, maybe who did tuition are higher. But those students who are international, we talk about being global, we talk about diversity, we talk about we want these people on our campuses. But if you have a student from another country who's not able to work at the local McDonald's or 7-Eleven because they can't get a work permit because of this, then we're in a pickle because that person cannot get financial aid. And so what do you do with that athlete? And we have several of them have it on our basketball teams, et cetera, on our softball teams. What do? How do we successfully get that student graduated, and what funds are available? One of the reasons why Dr. Mackey was chosen to be, because he has, like he said, he writes grants. He has written a lot of grants and gotten a lot of money for the School of Education at Elizabeth City State University. And he has been able, through, like you said, being creative, been able to slough off some of those funds to assist athletes and students in his school, particularly in terms of advancing them. And so somehow we need to look at those types of things and see how we can do that.
In continuation of graduation, we've talked about state and private. When you look at the statistics, we look at the numbers, the data tells us, and data is live. State institutions have a higher graduation rate, higher retention rate than private institutions. You say that private institutions have more resources. So can someone speak to me in terms of what's going on with resources at private institutions while we have such a graduation?
Well, I didn't say you had I think you had the ability to get some of those resources. I think the graduation rates, private schools again, are able to set, in some instances, their benchmarks in terms of who they admit. State institutions have generally, and we do as part of the university system of Maryland, we have a criteria that we have to adhere to that has been that's enforced by the chancellor on each of the presidents. So, we have a mandate that we have to graduate 60% of our population by 2016. We're currently at, overall, in terms of our general population, at 43%. So we got a heck of a lot of work that the chancellor has put on us to do. Now, and private institutions, in terms of graduation rates, and I think somebody said it in the audience, and it may have been Bill, who said that, somebody said, the fact that it was Michael. In terms of, a lot of times you want to win, and private institutions want to win. So they go after a lot of perhaps junior college people, so the turnover is greater at your institution quite often, because if that person doesn't have the GPA, then, or doesn't like the institution after they finish playing, they leave. And so you have to start all over again, and that could be one of the issues.
I think one of the other things we look at is that we often say pilots are not able to do it, but if you look at graduation of historical minority institutions, it was the top six are private schools. But if you look at who those private schools are bringing in, they are young kids with the highest grade point average in academic profile. And so as you bring students with a higher level academic profile, the probability is that they're going to graduate before the youngster becomes very low profile. And so when you look at once you get past the Hamptons and Howards and Spelmans and those where many of the scores are showing up, those kids go with high scores. And so naturally that graduation rate is going to be higher. If we are to improve that in the CIAA, is it time for us across the conference to look at what level of admission are we going to permit for students to come into our conference? That would be a strong statement. The probability that we'll never move to that because we need every student we can get to keep our doors open. But if we were to and we would bring students with higher academic profile, the probability is that we would have a higher graduation. But the reality is, at this point where we just happily trying to survive, can we afford to do that? And so that becomes a decision that institutions are going to have to make, dealing with coding that in the UNC system, there is current conversation about raising the scores, what is it, Bill? 2 scores, 2 5, 2 6.
Actually, it's too fast.
Yeah, about raising it higher just to get in the door.
Yeah.
So that's much more than what the NCAA is saying. And if that's the case, you know, so the challenges are great. I mean,
And as you know, the NCAA, and I'm part of the Academic Requirement Committee, we had a strong debate in our last meeting, and it'll probably come up again in our summer meeting, our fall meeting, rather, in terms of, well, one, the GPA has been a little raised to 2.0. The core course requirement for high school students coming in beginning in August is 16, no longer 14. So we need to understand some of this. Now, the debate was, do we 27 credits now, as opposed to 24? I mean, there's a number of the GPA, SAT scores going up. All of those are being debated in terms of the type of student that comes in come in our doors and being able to participate in athletics. So that's that. Well, it's a good thing, but then, yes, but then see, I think Mackie hit on something too, for a number of us, and I'm old school, to some degree. I went to St. Aug, and I owe St. Aug. I tested well, but I never got a whole lot of good grades. Now, I'm not so sure if it wasn't for St. Aug where I would be. So for me, and I'm a late bloomer. I still am, you know, and I'm still blooming. And I want y'all to know that. Madam Commissioner, I'm still a diamond in the rough. You know, we got to work with it. I'm still blooming. And I make no bones about that. And I have a lot of growth still to go. And I project myself to be around a long time. Now, the good Lord may take me tomorrow. But for me, I'm still being worked on. My point to you is that I'm not so sure that's a good thing. There are a lot of kids out here. I look at Shawan. Shawan has gone out in that county where they are, and they've grabbed a lot of those kids, how they survived. Dr. White was very honest with us when he went there. Shawan was dying. It was dying. What they did was they looked at and decided to change their whole makeup, and they went after the kids who may not have been able to get in Elizabeth City. And they brought them there. And a number of those kids have flourished and began to grow, and because they were given opportunity. It bothers me when we will reach expectations, but give me the opportunity to do that. If you don't give me the opportunity, you'll never know whether I will be able to achieve it or not.
Can I make a comment on that too? When I went to Hampton, I got there before the top 40 position. If I was 1 year later, I would have been ineligible. I was a very poor test taker. Academically, I was good, but test taking, that's why I'm concerned about how we, I like the sliding scale in so many different ways, but I'm concerned about, when we continue to increase requirements for certain demographics. I was a smart kid. I just was a poor test taker. And even getting into grad school, I didn't pass the GRE. Like, I had to go interview in front of the deans of Temple University on their last day of the meeting. It was the grace of God that I got in there to talk to them that I'm a great student. Just give me the opportunity. And if Hampton, again, if the requirements were different, I might have not even got into the school. And so but look at me now. Look at us now. You know, and it's because, again, we have in this conference schools that invest in students. You may struggle initially, but when you give us the opportunity, we excel. That's why it's so important. The community of our institutions in this conference is critical for the success of our students. And even if they come in as props and you want them there, how do you make sure they're prepared the next year and to advance to that fourth year or fifth year student and thereafter?
Because there were several points, like Commissioner Coffey was saying, that 4 to 6 year window of freshman cohort is very, very key. Yes, we're looking at 5th year students graduating, how do we fund that? But one of the ways to kind of systematically attack that is encouraging your students not to do just the bare minimum. Right. And that's taking more than just the full-time status. And that's one of the conversations that I've had with coaches because, and I understand, you know, we want to maximize our players and make sure that they're there for however long they can provide input to our programs. However, if we know a student can't fund their 5th year, they couldn't fund the first 4 of them, we need to be encouraging them, take 15 credits. When you're out of season, take 17 credits. Go to summer school while you still are eligible for, you know, financial aid outside of that window. But it can't just be, oh man, we got to our 5th year, and what are we going to do with Zimbabwe because he's not going to graduate? No, it needs to be, oh, Zimbabwe is not one of our strongest students. So we're going to make sure during the summertime there's not a break in the time that they're studying. There's not a break. We're going to keep him on campus. We're going to declare development. We can also make sure he's taking those additional courses and taking, you know, courses that they can pay for. Just getting $3,000 in scholarships. We're not letting them get these funds. No, we're going to use that towards the credits that you need so that you can, you know, maximize your time. So it can't just be a get to the end and then you have to look at what the problem is. There has to be a systematic change. So helping coaches understand that as well is something that I think as a conference we can continue to make sure they understand. We need to wellness and make sure our players understand the importance of that. Now I want to go back to the practice because Lincoln, while it's not public, it's state related, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that. We have some challenges that are not even driven by what we bring in or what dollars are allocated for athletics. Ours is solely on our student enrollment. If our student enrollment goes down this year, then we cut something. We automatically know that. If it goes up, we can potentially get the, you know, whatever we cut the year before, but we might not get it back because we want to work inside of our operating budget. So, you know, while we can, our board of business can say, well, you know, we're going to allocate money for this in athletics. If we don't get the students, we don't get the money. So it has its pros and cons.
And they take that back after school is over.
Right.
And so the budget that you thought that you had, you know, to come up and say, we're cutting you by $800,000. And the city this year was $1.2 million. We're cutting you by 1.2, and you take a percentage across the board, and if it hits your budget, and you have already overspent your budget, you have to sleep this night about how we're going to make this year work. And so it's a heartache.
Okay, Patrice and Mr. Hayes, how can you guys articulate to the president that we must put our money where our mouth is in terms of funding academic schools? So how can we articulate that to the president?
Just tell mine straight up. What I do is I say to him simply, how can we fund 3 men's basketball coaches, 3 women's basketball coaches, 6 or 7 football coaches, and 1 academic counselor? You can't tell me to buy academics. You can't do it. You can pay all those coaches, but you can't pay for 1 academic coach? What's wrong with that thing? And I believe he's paying for more than that. Because I really believe, and then he gets to think, you know what, you're right. But see, what I always do, what I've always done as a teacher and coach and if I find a way first, and I'll prove to you that it can be done. So what I did, when we did our program with Ms. Child, brought her in, set up the program, moved an office, fixed up place, got computers and did the whole thing. Then I reassigned some coaches. I said, okay, assistant track coach, you're going to work with Ms. Child from 8 in the morning to 12. You got a choice. You either work with Ms. Child or you go home. And so I did that 4 times. So now instead of having 1 academic person, I had 5. And I did it by reassigning, and some folks didn't need to sit around recruiting all day. They could recruit a half a day, and if we really mean what we say, then academics become more important. So my softball coach, full-time softball coach, I made her half-time softball coach, half-time academic advisor. So she worked with Ms. Childs in the morning, coaches still won the championship, because winners found a way to win. So we did that. Now, once we went off the charts with our grades, and had, out of 200-something kids, we had 115 on the honor roll. They said, wow. Let's have some folks down there. So stand up, new folks, and just bring me a few. Oh, new folks, stand up. Yeah, see, these folks just came with me. So I'm just breaking their knees.
So how many people do you have in your athletics support staff?
4 for athletics now. Most instructors black colleges don't have a 1. Because they got 1, they accept 1, they don't never ask for more than 1. And so if you don't ask, you won't get. So that's the way. I got a couple other things before I get out here.
We recently had a new president come on board, so we are still in the conversation with increasing our academic support. We're not just able to kind of walk in and tell them, we need this, and he just does it. So what we've done is we've provided the data where it shows that our students are graduating, where it shows that our students are being retained, where it shows that our students are attending classes, where he can see, okay, well, maybe they are doing something. I say maybe because, sometimes people are skeptics, just being honest. But if you have the data that's backing it, saying our students are attending at a higher rate, our international students are graduating in 4 years and not having to get, either additional visas, or we're bringing in a certain amount of a freshman cohort every year, and if you don't provide us with an academic service, you can't guarantee that, they'll be retained in athletics or at the university. So the data has been helping us to, bridge the gap kind of with that. But what we are, like I said before, mentioning the communication piece is very, very key. We didn't have computers in our academic support areas before, but now they're working on providing us with any computer, because we don't have a budget to buy any, but any computer that is given a place across campus, they're providing us with those computers in our area so we can grow what we have. We have 4 now. We're looking to have 20 by the end of this year, and that's not coming from our budget at all. So building the partnerships and kind of making it work where we can. Yes, we don't have an additional person. However, we do have coaches that are very, very active in the academic success. They're monitoring. They're on grade first daily. They're required to look at it every Tuesday to make sure they know where their students are. So they are active participants as well. So with the funding challenges, yes, we do have them, but we're going to make it work. And that's the mindset that we have. We're going to make it work, and we're going to make sure you know that we're making it work with the data that goes along with it.
I heard what you say, and I really respect it. I've been on that road too. We're going to make it work. Now listen to that. We're going to make it work. Okay, so you go to this school that's moderate, and you, through your own willpower and self-determination, find a way to make it work. Guess what's going to happen? As soon as it runs its course, they're going to get rid of you, and then they're going to bring somebody else in. And how many times have you seen it? I've seen it all my life. They bring this new person, they get this new guy everything he wants. Everything you done fought for years for, This guy walks in the door, and they put, because they know he needed it, but you made it work. And I'm not saying, I'm just being straight up. So that's the fear of not asking and not being dogmatic about making sure that everybody knows exactly where you're coming from and exactly what you got to have. And I think you got to do your part as the AD and as the coach and the athletic people. We took all the coaches and say, look, our kids are going to class, and we're going to be very visible. So now, 2-3 days a week, you just at random check these classes. We call it a posse. So the posse goes out. Now, what does that do? After a while, some teacher says in the cafeteria where the chancellor is sitting, them crazy football coaches that are checking class, all them boys in class. The basketball coach was in my class this morning. Those athletes are going to class. Now, he said, you know what? This weirdo I got is not AD. He did this thing done. And then people start saying, they're going to find a way. And then they start helping. That's what I experienced. Another vision is the alumni giving. Now, I got somebody getting all the alumni chapter meetings. And that's what we do on the weekend. We go alumni meetings. Tell alumni exactly what we need. Tell them what we can do. We need $2 million. We don't need no damn fish sandwiches. We need $2 million. We got $1.8 million, and we're going to run this program at $5.5 million. That's what we got to have. Now, this is what we need from you. Now, come on with it. And so that's what we're doing in the process of doing now, every weekend, during the week. And you'll be surprised at what they don't know, because we do a lot of community service too. Each student athlete has it. Each team has a school, a high school, an elementary, or junior high school that they go to. The last thing I want to say is, I think that you ought to have a strong academic vision. I think you ought to have a playbook, an academic playbook with your plan in. That's what I call it, an academic playbook with your vision and your plan in your playbook. And your kids ought to know that that's your academic playbook. I think every team ought to have its own booster club. I said this from the day I walked in the door at Florida A&M, the day I walked in the door at North Carolina Central, the day I walked in the door at Winston-Salem. Football coach, you're going to have a quarterback club. You're going to raise your own money, and I expect you to raise this, and you give them a barometer. Basketball, you raise a little. We got football as the quarterback, basketball is hoops. It is functional right now in Winston-Salem State. Hoops Incorporated. They assist with basketball, men. Track was a spike club. So, my goal as AD is to push the coaches to get your former players. You organize all your former players to join your club. And then there's some camaraderie going on. Then there's some give and take and some free course. So that's a little bit about what we're trying to do. And I think those are reasonable goals to build an athletics program.
And they're very strong. Matter of fact, when the hoops came to Bowie, they came to the football program as well. Matter of fact, they were very noisy there. I had to say something to them. We were hospitable to them, though, Bill. But he's right. They're very strong, and they have been able to support the Rams quite a bit there.
But you got to be careful though, because see, once you give them the authority to raise money, then they'll funnel it back to the coach. All the money got to come through the foundation. Coach will go to the hoops and he'll say, well, you know what? I need to go to the national bench and I need $6,000. They feel him on shit. And you, the AD, you don't even know. I went in there one day, we had a brand new TV up there, big screen TV, in the men's coach's office thing, but none in the women's. Gender equity problem, right? So, you got,
Right.
Yeah. So you just got to, as AD, you got to be careful what you ask for, and you got to be ready to attack it. As soon as you know it's getting out of whack, you got to be ready to make your move and correct it. So,
I want to thank you guys. We're about to round up. I want to ask one question, and you guys can limit your responses to 30 seconds. How can we make our presidents more accountable in the academic success process? What role can you guys play in terms of making he or she more accountable to academic success in terms of evaluations, how work plans, what you can come back to what Matthew said, and what all in together, one for us, what all.
Give them information, make sure they got the information.
I think we're pretty much, our responsibility is to keep them informed as much as possible. One of the value principles for me is Machiavelli's 23 principalities of leadership. And one of those talks about a leader surrounding himself with people that look and can tell that leader what he is as opposed to what he wants to hear. And I truly believe that if I have a responsibility to keep my chancellor informed, then I should do that. Because with that chancellor being more informed, or that president being more informed, we then can make a more justifiable decision of the decisions we make. And so that's my third step.
Well, I'm going to say my third step is just to ask Dr. Brown to stand up, please. I do want y'all to know who this is. She was a student athlete at Blue State University. She's in the Department of Communications. She's been a heck of a supporter for our athletics program. She's been a producer with the local television station. She comes with a wealth of knowledge that she has imparted not only to our athletes, but also to our entire student body. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your support. And on behalf of our commissioner, again, thank you for all you do. And I hope that you continue to do that. All right? Thank you.
I want Ms. Charles to say, and all these things that I talked about, she the one got to care about. And also, Anthony Bennett working with the academic program too. Anthony, the pecking order was Anthony was in charge, and Ms. Charles answered to him, and then everybody else. But if it goes wrong, I'll beat Anthony up. The son of Anthony. Two jobs.
Well, I think the challenge has come well in communication and the information that they need to know, right, and what our goals are. And we go firm, that's what I'm learning from, very firm in making sure that they are on the same level and same page.
I want to thank Mr. Murray, Dale, for helping to allow us to come to your wonderful campus. Thank you, Commissioner, for coming and speaking and blessing us as well. And if anyone has any questions, we'd like to thank you guys for coming out. You know?
I would like to have a nice group of people. I just want a nice group photo and everybody in there. Is that all right? All right.
I'm going to close it out, but first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming, and keep this in mind. I didn't jump on Ms. Murray earlier. I jumped on a situation. That situation came from a lack of communication, and she was trying to really do her part to see that this went well, but I don't think she understood what was expected and